Hi guys, in this lesson, you're going to learn about the data structures of Python. More specifically, it is list and dictionary. First up is list. Previously, you learned about variable. A variable is used to store items. You can use a variable to store a text, to store a number. List is actually a special type of variable that stores several items, multiple items in a fixed order. And it is actually equivalent of an array in other programming languages. And the advantages of list in Python is that list is resizable, meaning that you can add items to the list, you can remove items from the list. Also, it can contain elements of different data types, meaning that you can put a number in the list, you can put a text into the same list, or put an integer or put a floating a float numbers into the same list. So list can contain elements of different data types. So the syntax of a list is very simple. Usually the name of a list we use the plural. Like for example, if you want to create a list that contain the names of the EXCO members of a CCA, so you call the name of the list as EXCOs plural. Okay, equal, and then you need to have a square bracket, and all the elements in the list are separated by comma. So that is the syntax of a list. Operations of a list. So how do you manipulate the elements in a list? So for example, if you have this list containing the names of three different exco members, how do you get the element in the list? The first exco, for example. Now remember, the first exco has the index of 0. Okay, so if you so for example, this is a list. All right, so if you run it, nothing will appear because there is no print statement. So if you want to extract or to print out the first element of the list, you have to use print xcos and then the first element, which is index 0, that would print the first member. Okay, likewise, you can print the second member. So the second member would have index of 1. And likewise, if you want to print the last member, the first member from the last, then it would have an index of -1. So this is similar to the range function in the for loop. The first member, index 0, the last member, index -1, and if it is an index 1, that would be the second member of the list. Okay, first member 0, index 0, second member, second element of the list, index 1, and the last element of the list, index -1. So modify element in the list, if you put 0, 2, 0, 1 is the last member. So 0, 2 would be the second last member. So what does this code do? It modifies the second element from the end of the list to this person by the name of EUA. These are the two very simple operations of list. Okay, there are further additional operations. So for example, if you want to add element to a list, you use the append function of the list. So this code basically append or add Joshua to the list xcos. And where does it add to? It will add to the end of the list. So add Joshua to the end of the list. So for insert, you also add an element to the list. The difference between append and insert is that append, you cannot specify the position. Append will automatically add an element to the end of the list. Whereas for insert, it will add an element to the list, but you can append where you want to add to. So for example, if I put -1 here, that would append that would add a Venza to the end of the list. So if you put a 0 here, that would insert Venza to the first element of the list, to the beginning of the list. Let's pause for a while here and do some exercises.